Awesome. Hey, so we are about to get started. Hi everyone. I am Precious Kolawole. A moment. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for everybody that has joined us so far. I am Precious and we are about to get started now. I always tell people, get yourself comfortable, make sure you are calm and you get started with us as we start rolling everything out. At the same time, I have my co-host here, Mr. MoFe, and he's also on this live stream. I'm going to do a couple of house cleaning in the sense that our co-host won't be able to like turn on his camera because of where he currently is right now. We have all of this rules with PhD students and everything, which is totally understandable. And I pretty much believe that we we are going to benefit from what he is going to tell us, and not particularly that we want to pick something from his face, which makes sense. Okay. So yeah, we are going to get started now. We can see the second box by like close to my frame. That's supposed to be a frame. So once it speaks, that should kind of like pop or like show a, I think it should have like a green color around the center. But you guys will know when he's speaking, okay? Yes, so we are about to get started. Thank you so much. I'm Precious. I believe everybody knows me already, but if you don't, I'm Precious Kolawole again. I'm a student, County University. I'm an undergraduate student, and I am a Shopify Dev degree intern. I do a lot of software engineering and front end plus back end at Shopify right now. However, I am pretty much known in the data science, machine learning, and deep learning sphere of everything. Uh, that's what people know me to be doing, and I'm also into a lot of scholarship stuff. I tell people I struggle to properly pass across my, like, to describe myself. I mostly struggle with that. And another thing, this is not one of the this is one not one of my best mood. I have been working for quite some time now, and I'm a little bit stressed, which is kind of obvious in the way I'm speaking. But you guys should not worry. I'm not going to do a lot of talking today. We have our co-host here, which and he's pretty much packed and ready to give us everything. Maybe I'm going to give us a little bit of backstory. I met our co-hosts uh, at an event not quite long, and hearing his story kind of got me very struck. And I was like, I don't think there is a way I won't be this person on this channel, because it just has a lot of things to dish out to the audience. And I feel like if you are on this live stream right now, there is so much for you to benefit from here. And I believe one part of your life or the other is going to be touched in ways you can't even expect. Okay. So we are going to get started. Like I said, his camera won't be on. So, but he's going to speak, and I'm very sure you guys are going to hear him. Okay. So I'm going to bring him, put him on the spot. Mr. MoFe, thank you for being here with us today. Um, I've prepared a couple of questions for him. So this is the way this will flow. I'm going to ask him a couple of questions just for him to tell us his life story and all of the amazing things about him that got me struck when I spoke with him initially. And in the process, you guys can engage in the comment section, drop your questions, drop your comment, especially the questions. Put your questions there as I ask him questions, right? And after everything, we will kind of display the questions on the screen, and we will get through those questions as well. All right. So yes, let's do it. Mr. Mufe, I'm going to start with my first question for you today, which is going to be around your background and you telling us a little bit about yourself and your professional self. The floor is yours.
Hello, can I be here?
Yes, very well.
Yeah, good afternoon from Canada and then good evening from Nigeria. From those who are hearing back from home. And thank you again, Precious, for giving me this opportunity to dish out what I have for you guys. It's been a long time. I've been looking for such an opportunity to discuss
Oh my God.
such things to people, but based on the kind of demand related to what I'm doing and maybe other things, I didn't have the opportunity to do this, but I'm really glad that I'm able to do this eventually, and I'm really to help others who really want to, forge ahead in their career
Yeah.
academically. So, firstly, my name is Oluwadamilola, and then my father's name is Ogunmola. I'm from Oyo State, and then I had my first degree in Nigeria and from the Federal University of Technology, Akure. So, where I studied materials and metallurgical engineering. So, after then, I traveled to China where I had my master's degree. From there, I took off to Canada. So all these things I'm going to be telling you how the journey looks like and the rigors I actually went through before I eventually found myself here in Canada. So it's an interesting story. And professional wise, I think I have some couple of experience before leaving Nigeria. Actually, I've worked with some multinationals like Nestle Nigeria PLC and Nigerian Breweries PLC, PZ Cousins, where I gain some internship experience and majorly in the manufacturing environment. So I think I have few experience in that area and also some customer service experience. And that was the last experience I had before eventually leaving Nigeria. So I think that's just a glimpse about what I think I can tell you guys for now. So thank you very much.
That's perfect. Oh my God. Okay. Let me give our people some disclaimer. Mr. Mufer is into he's not in tech. However, there are like a lot of similarities in his pathway and his trajectory and what most tech people experience these days, right? I know he mentioned something about like working with, is it Brewery PLC? Like, if I'm wrong, please let me know. He
Yes,
mentioned something
Nigerian
like,
Breweries, yeah. Nigerian Breweries.
exactly. I know some people be like, oh, this is a tech channel. What am I hearing about Nigerian brewery? Okay. He's not in the tech space, but I bet you are going to learn a lot, especially in the scholarship aspect and like studying abroad and everything. Okay. Thank you so much for giving us that very good introduction. All right. And my next question is going to be one thing you mentioned about like you live in Nigeria. Uh And my question is going to be that when you left Nigeria, was it just an opportunity you decided to take advantage of, or has it been something you've thought about? Have you always known you were going to leave Nigeria, or the opportunity just came and you jumped on it?
Yeah, to answer that question, I think the later answer the question, it has been, let me say, a future goal for me actually. Ever since I was in my third year in the university, I already had it in mind that I'm going to leave the country. I really want to explore because that was really the goal. Because I realized that, let me see, I got the motivation from, let me say, a few mentors of mine while I was in university back then. So they've actually been helpful in helping me to align this, in helping me to achieve this goal. They also offer the advice and what I stand to gain if I leave the country to get some experience abroad. So
Yeah.
I think it started back then in 300 level. I got to meet one of my mentor. He's also currently in Canada. So he was just telling me one or two things. Although he was also in China back then. So he's a very close friend of mine. So he just came around that then we were just discussing and he was just telling me, have you ever thought of leaving?
Mm.
And I said, no. I think that boils down to the fact that you really need to surround yourself with good people. That's the
Yes.
first thing. So if you are surrounding yourself with good people, you'll be influenced by what they do. And
Yeah.
that's if you yourself you're motivated to move forward. That
Yes.
should be the first part of it. And secondly, like I said earlier, I finished from FUTA, particularly from the Department of Metallurgical and Materials Engineering. So we have very good lecturers, they are like fathers to us, they do advise us as well to also explore because they also gain some educational experience abroad. So they know what we're talking about. They also want us to go outside, to go and learn. And eventually, if we want to come back, and take a teaching position in university, they are willing to accept us back. So
Yeah.
these are part of the things that also, motivated me, to leave the country and then come over here to study, to learn from these people. So, and that's it. Thank you.
I love that. I love that. Before I left Nigeria, some people actually presented the opportunity for me to leave because I wanted to leave my medical degree for sure. People presented the opportunity of, okay, since you are in OAU and Obafemi Awolowo University is one of like the best universities in Nigeria, why not just cross and do computer science in OAU right there and keep doing your machine learning and probably get a good job with one of those good companies, right? Well,
Mm,
I was just not settled with that idea. And I was like, I have experienced this education OAU is going to provide. I've been here for the past 2 years, but I know there is still something different out there for me to get. I was just not comfortable with where I was, and that led to everything. And to be very honest, that particular step I took, I praise God for those steps. And I think I will keep praising God for the rest of my life having done that. Okay. And I love that you mentioned something about surrounding yourself with good people. Honestly speaking, without people that will put you in the right direction, that will tell you what to do at a particular point in time, you will just be living in ignorance and you won't know the opportunities that are out there for you to explore. Even when you know them, it will be difficult for you to navigate them because you just don't have the understanding, you don't have the knowledge. And that was where my brother came in, like helping me with those timelines, those career trajectories that I was able to follow and then eventually achieve big things in short time. Okay. So I love those responses. Thank you so much. Now, this will take me to the third question I'm going to ask you, Mr. Mofe. And this is around how you bagged your master's degree from China. And I know China is a very big country. They do a lot of infrastructures, they do a lot of development. And in as much as most of the products we use from Nigeria, like in Nigeria, you see them labeled with made in China, made in China. I don't think people have actually seen the fact that, oh, I can actually go to China and study. I can actually go to China and do this, right? I haven't really seen people with that mindset. maybe the opportunities were not just out there. I don't know. So, can you tell us about like how you came across the application and the process, like in the first place, and then what the application process was like, and what were even the requirements you had to meet to enter into this school? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for this question. While you were talking, I was trying to ruminate on so many things, on how to answer this question because I have a lot of things to talk about here, but I'll just try to summarize it a bit. For some people, or let me say generally for me, back then, China wasn't an option for me because
Mm,
I was actually looking to better places, maybe like Europe and then, or maybe like the North America, like USA or maybe Canada.
yeah.
But, unfortunately for me, all these things, all these opportunities were not coming. Back then, I tried so much to see how I can get here, even to Europe, because there's one scholarship back then, Erasmus Mundus scholarship. It's a prestigious scholarship that, virtually every Fulterians get it. You can go and check the history.
Yeah.
All Fulterians get a scholarship. So I
Wow.
tried. In fact, I have a very close friend then. It's like a brother to me. We stay together, we eat together, we sit on the system together, we discuss on how to, how we're going to put together some how do I say some write up on how to get a scholarship. We're helping each other back then. So the opportunity wasn't forthcoming. So
Mm,
later on we had to divert the attention into other places, it's not too good to put your egg in one basket. So we try to look into other option. That
yeah.
was when the option of China came in, ignorantly, or let me just say or in desperation back then, let me put it that way. We applied for China, and fortunately for me, I was able to get not just one school, several schools accepted me
Ah,
back then in China because the process actually is a bit tedious. Tedious in the sense that you need to go through from one phase to another. And the
yeah.
first step is actually you securing a supervisor, especially if you're going for a research program. It's really important that you recognize or you identify a supervisor before you can be given a scholarship. And I think that's the most challenging aspect of securing a scholarship, which I'm still going to
Yeah.
talk about in details later on. So, fortunately for me, I was able to secure some supervisors, although back then it wasn't easy because I could remember back then waking up in the night, sending emails. We call it cold emails to
Yeah.
supervisors. I sent a lot. In fact, if I remember very well, I sent close to more than 2,000 emails to
Are
supervisors.
you for real right
Yeah,
now?
yeah, of course. It's not because this is scholarship. This is something, it's not for you, it's not just for you, it's just for everybody. And just for you to know, there are so many people looking for this opportunity just like you. They are online 247 looking for this opportunity. So you also need to be on your toes. So you also need to, stand out because you're competing with people who studied abroad.
Ah,
So for you to get a scholarship, for you to really convince them, you need to make yourself competitive in order for
ah,
them to give you the scholarship. So fortunately for me, I was able to get both. I just have to choose one of these opportunities. So I had to go for TNG University because after making some research about the university, about the city, what I can, because one thing about studying abroad is not about the education, it's also about the exposure.
yes.
In fact, the fact that you have to travel out outside the country, see new things, is enough education for you.
Yes.
Hope you
Yes.
get what I'm saying. So it's not just about going to the classroom, learning this, it's beyond that. Your environment too is education. So you need to be really, conversant with what is going in the environment. And China, to be honest, China is the best. In fact, it's a very good option. Some people still doubt it till today, but I can tell you that China is one of the reasons why I'm in Canada today, because that was where I got my master's degree. And it was through the master's degree I was able to get a PhD opportunity here in Canada and even to several places that I'll be mentioning later. So, for some of you who are thinking maybe China is just the way, no, it's not, because I learned a lot of things in China. I
Oh,
learned, how to become a businessman in China. It's just that's why I say it goes beyond being educated, you also need to be conversant with every other, otherwise you will be restricted.
Yes.
That is just the way it is. So I
Oh
think
my God. I love that.
I'll stop here for now so we can actually address other question. Thank you.
Let me ask around the document you submitted. Like, because when I wanted to do undergraduate, they only requested for my WAHEC results. What other document did I submit? My transcript. Like, was it the same for you? Or they requested for other things?
Yeah, I am not too like I'm still trying to remember because it's been a long time. But I remember back then that for you to start after securing a supervisor,
Hmm.
so the next step is for you to apply to the university.
Okay.
And it's normal for them to ask for your degree,
Yeah.
your transcript of record, because these are what shows that you really had a background in this particular area.
Yeah.
And that's what qualify you to apply for a master's program or
Yeah.
PhD, whatever you. So apart from that, you need a recommendation letter.
Yeah.
Recommendation letter is just like them, like you, like someone who knows you very well and can attest to your character,
Yeah.
academic, physically, mentally, how strong you are research wise. So, and most of the time, I always recommend that in normally they request for two. One of your reference or your recommender should be your supervisor because he or she knows you well. Because
Okay.
he or she has worked with you for some times while you're doing your undergraduate or maybe master's, whatever. So he or she should be one of you recommend, and the others can be maybe other people from department, but it
Yeah.
shouldn't be your family member, or it shouldn't be so. That is just the way it is. So should be someone that can attest to your character, that can attest to what you've done so far and
Yeah.
how strong you are in this area. So, and I think some other documents, I think you need to do some medicals, and that's it because there's a particular form they fill. I've
Hmm.
forgotten the name now. So you need to fill that form. Although when you get to China eventually, they will still do their own, what's it called, their examination on you to be sure whether you're fit
Aha.
because you live in Nigeria and going to another climate, you really need to adapt, to be honest with you, because we're in the sub-Saharan area. Those are Asians, there's cold everywhere. So some people are not let me say they're not too healthy to accommodate some
Yes.
kind of environment. So you need to be strong, you need to be mentally okay. And
Yeah.
some too for some reason emotionally they're attached to their parent or their family back home.
Hmm.
These are things you also need to, cut yourself from because the
Yeah.
moment you leave the country, you're facing another family, another area entirely. So you really need to stand up to this challenge. There are a lot of challenges out there, apart from the fact that you tend to enjoy a lot of things that come your
Hmm.
way. There are a lot of challenges that sometimes you don't even need to tell people because some people they don't have the mind of their own. They're easily
Nah.
discouraged. So you need to understand all these things before you leave the country. And I think that's all. And then I think you asked that.
Hmm.
Okay, I think that's all. I think I've answered that. Okay, that's all.
Yeah, you did justice to that. Oh my God, I'm really enjoying our quotes so far. These are really great answers. And I remember what you said about sending 2,000 emails. And sometimes I look at people when they are trying to get something, and you be like, my mind is, how much effort have you put into this thing? How much dedication have you put into this thing? I know it's so unfortunate that some of us, especially those of us in sub-Saharan Africa, I mean, wherever we are from, we have to do so much to get things sometimes, right? It's unfortunate. However, we just have to do it regardless. Imagine sending 2,000 plus emails out just to get a a degree. That's a lot. I don't even think I did up to that to get to Shopify and Carlton. I didn't send up to that. That's some insane level of dedication. So this is like another like it's just you hearing it over and over again that dedication is what you need and commitment and be able to face some problems head on sometimes. Okay. And I like what you said about your mommy or your daddy, your family member writing recommendations for you. I can imagine if my mom is writing recommendations letter for me, it will just be filled with a lot of sweet stuff, right? So you must actually get people that are out there, like up there, to recommend you for these things, right? Oh my God, I love the answers. Thank you so much. To those that are just joining this live stream, my co-host won't be able to turn on the camera like I said the other time. Please bear with us. You can hear him pretty well. You can hear his answers so far, and I feel like that's pretty much everything we need. Okay. I can see a couple of people. If Oluwadamilola Ogunmola, thank you for joining. Akinyemi Bamidele, I can see you guys. Miamo. Akinyemi, okay, I've mentioned you. Favorite Joe. Oh my God, I don't know if I'm murdering that name. I'm so sorry for that. Oguntuji Alimat. Thank you guys for joining. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next question right now. And he has mentioned a lot of things about adapting to a different life, and you've been strong. I believe Africans or Nigerians, we are naturally strong and we kind of adapt to a lot of things. And he briefly mentioned like adapting because international students, there are a lot of struggles, and sometimes you have to work just to make ends meet. And I remember during my conversation with Mr. MoFe before this session, he mentioned something about like starting his degree way back in was it 2021 or 2020 when there was COVID-19 and everything. And I find that story very, very interesting. Mr. Mufe, I don't know if you want to dig down on that. Like the time of COVID, how were you able to do it? How were you able to stay in China? Okay, we can even start from like you surviving as an international student and then COVID coming and you surviving COVID and not eventually catching it. And like family back home, I wonder how they will be feeling at that time. Like my son, like your parents, my son is in China where there is COVID. How did everything happen at that point in time?
Yeah. Okay, again, before I start, or before I
Hmm,
answer the question,
hmm.
I want to apologize again because I won't be able to turn on my camera because I'm currently in the lab. So I'm not allowed to do that. Okay, so, but I hope everyone can hear me clearly. So, and now to the question, it was really a challenging time, studying in China because this is the hub where the COVID-19 break out from. So it was really, really like a difficult time for me, a difficult time for every international student back then, and even for the Chinese citizen as well, because I, I, I can't just start recalling a lot of things I saw back then. A lot of people died, and I saw them actually with my own eyes. So it was really a fearful time back then. And just to bust your bubbles anyway, you were saying something about my parents, how they feel. When I informed my parents that I want to return back home, I was so shocked with the answers. They were like, "You don't have to come back home because we're not missing you."
Oh my God, now I'm shocked.
In
Oh
fact,
God.
I was told, they had to tell me that even if at all I forget anything back home, I should not come back home. They will use their money to send it to me. That I should just stay there in China, later on, I was so scared. Like, in fact,
Hmm.
my parents was even rejected. I was like, but I never know it was all for good anyway, because they also saw everything that I wasn't seeing back then. And I'm going to
Ah.
go into more details into this. The reason is this, back then, although I was so scared of my life, and other students too. In fact, then I have some friends close to me back then because of the horrible situation. They were all booking their flight back home.
Ah.
Actually, I landed in China in September. The COVID started, I think, in December stroke January 2020. That was when the COVID struck. It was really, really a fearful time. So at that time, I was also planning to go back home. But at a point later, I just realized I just came to China. It doesn't really make sense going back home because of this and that. The only thing my parents just told me then was that God has a purpose for
Hmm.
everything. God knows there's going to be a COVID outbreak. but yet he gave you opportunity to go there.
Go
Now
there.
look at it. Does that mean he doesn't know you need to survive?
Mm.
So then I
Mm.
started seeing reasons, why I don't need to go back home. Just to fast track the whole story, later on, some like I told you, some of my guys they went back home while I was there, pushing. I was doing my research, and by the grace of God, I finished when I was supposed to finish. So towards the end, when I was supposed to finish my program, my guys that went on back then, they wanted to come back,
Ah.
and it was so difficult for them to come because all through those times, Chinese border is locked. Nobody is allowed to go in and come out. It was really difficult. And I can remember back then, it was like a one-way traffic. Like my lifetime is just one because we're not allowed to leave. We're just in the place. We are more like what's it called? How do I say? Like a prisoner.
Hey.
Because there was really tight restriction back then. No one is allowed to move to go here or there. So we're just in one place. And they really tried their best in ensuring that the students are safe, But to be honest, it wasn't an easy time for us. But by the grace of God, I was able to finish at the right time. And imagine then to this opportunity that I got here in Canada. If I didn't finish at the right time, I'm not sure maybe I'm going to be here right now.
Nah, nah, nah.
So that's to tell you that God has a plan for everything.
Yes,
And
yes,
then, one lesson I actually learned back then is that it doesn't matter what you're going through, God knows about all these things.
yes,
You
yes,
just keep your mind at it that, for the fact that I'm here already, there is a reason why I'm here. If I'm going
yes,
to die, if I'm going to die, I know I've died for a purpose or something like that. So I know. So those were the kind of mentality I tried to build for myself, and then eventually it paid off. In fact, currently nothing scares me anymore because I've seen
Hmm.
a lot already. So I think that's just the way it is. The COVID actually
Wow.
shouldn't be a restriction or any challenges you might even go. It might not even be this way. So you might be going through one or two challenges.
Yes,
Think maybe God doesn't. God knows everything. He knows
yes,
what you're
it
going through.
does. It does.
And
It
I'm
does.
happy to tell you that there's always a breakout. There's
Yeah,
always a way out of all these challenges. It's just for you to tarry and
yeah,
then be strong, be motivated,
yeah.
and do what you have to do. So that's just it. Thank you very much.
Jesus Christ. I love this. Thank you so much. I don't know if it's only me that this thing is getting to. But I believe if you are locked on right now, I've been wanting to make sure we are not just guiding people on the way to success, or like we are not just guiding people to know more about tech. But there is a part of you identifying your purposes in life and knowing what you have been called to do, right? That has been a really deep concern of mine, and I've been trying to like create avenues such that this can be discussed and people can actually bring their concerns in the process of actualizing their dreams and everything, right? It's just that the world doesn't like to hear things like this, and I'm happy we are doing this right now. This is to also let you know that in your pursuit of success, in the process of you trying to attain your dreams, there will be difficulties, there will be stumbling blocks. A lot of blockers will be on your way. But the God that has already set you on that path, he knew you, he has known you even before you were born. And the people of God will not be put to shame. It won't put you on the path towards destruction. So sometimes you just have to like trust in your conviction and follow the path that God has set in front of you. And eventually you will see doors opening for you. Some things are blessing in disguise, right? In some moments when we are in situations, we think, oh God, why am I here? We have multiple questions. However, at the end of everything, at the other side of the problem, we now realize that, oh, thank God I went through that. Because I didn't go through that, I won't be where I am right now. Right? This is a call for everybody to wake up and realize that something is working in the background for you. The God that made you, He knows you. Yeah. I thank you for that response. Thank you for that response. Now I feel like this is people will probably be like, I think I'm afraid of going to China because from this story right now, I personally feel like I'm afraid of like doing this. But can you help us soften the atmosphere a little bit? What do you think? What do you think were the best times of you being in China? Like, what are the positive things people should look up to if they want to go to China to study, for example?
Yeah, I think I've actually mentioned that in the course of my previous
Yeah,
answers, but I'm going to reiterate it again. What you should look up for, or what you should look forward to, should go beyond your academics, or maybe you go in there to study. Like I said, and like you rightly mentioned earlier, that China is a business hub. A lot of products we use, if not just in Nigeria, all over the world, even currently in Canada, they were all made in China.
yeah,
And just for you to know, China is actually competing with the West right now, really competing with the West.
yeah.
I learned this actually while I was in China. They have the best security system you can talk of in the world. They have so many things you can actually get yourself involved in. And in fact, while I was in China, I got to understand that a toddler, a toddler anywhere in the world, it's
Mm.
not as busy like a Chinese toddler. Because right from their childhood, they are engaged in so many things. And I won't lie to you, don't be surprised that even for the fact that Chinese doesn't speak English, if you and a Chinese are sitting or having a competition, don't be surprised that Chinese might eventually win the English competition because they are so brilliant.
Yes.
They are trained that way. That's just the way it is. Those are the things I learned from these people. And these people, they are go getters, they
Mm.
don't care. They go the way to get whatever they need, and they eventually get it. In fact, back then while I was working, I'm not the type that used to go to the lab all day. But them, they are already in the lab by 8 a.m. and they leave by 11 p.m. in the night. Some even stay over the night. They are working.
No work-life balance.
I'm telling you, in fact, to some extent, before leaving China, I became a workaholic myself.
Jesus
That I
Christ.
have to overwork myself. But that's just everything pays off. Everything pays off. So if you're going to China, for some people they might be scared. Well, you don't have to be. I've been to China and I can tell you it's a very good country for you to start from. It's a very good place. Their degree is recognized. I can tell you
Nice.
that. And I also learned, apart from the academics, I also learned the language. So I can speak in the language. I can also relate with them. And that also adds to my CV. So apart from that, also the business aspect of it, I also learned so many things related to business. I also had the opportunity to meet some people, some great Chinese guys with high profile. In fact, some of them are currently in Canada right now. So those are the things you get or you stand to get when you go to places like that. You don't have to, be the kind of person that will be, that will be discriminating. How will I put it? For some guys that are back home, they will be saying, "What?"
Yeah.
I remember back then too, before going to China, when I told one of my friend that I'll be going to China, they said, "Why China? That of all countries in the world,
I
why?"
would have said that too.
Yeah, like at the point I was discouraged. That's why I said earlier on that you need to have a mind of your own. To be
Yes.
honest, because people can easily, if you don't have a mind of your own, you can easily be deceived. Even
Yeah.
if you are focusing on your goal, the fact that you don't have a mind of your own, you can easily be moved
Yeah.
away from that dream and you'll be chasing shadows.
Yeah.
So that is it. And I
I
can tell
love
you
that.
that even apart from the opportunities I got here in Canada, I got several opportunities as a result of going to China.
Mm.
And that's to tell you that if you don't live a particular area, if you don't live a particular, or let me say, your comfort zone, you might not be able to access some opportunities. That is it.
Yes.
The
Yes.
reason why I can get these opportunities because going to China actually boosts my profile so that
Aha.
people can see the profile and say, wow, this guy has an international exposure.
Hmm.
Definitely must be a good fit. And I'm
Yeah.
still going to mention that later on. And those are the kind of qualities my current supervisor sees in me.
You
That's
see?
why he was able to hire me. So it goes beyond you discriminating or maybe looking down on a particular opportunity. You don't have to, despise little beginnings. For
Nah,
me, that just it's more like a stepping stone for me to get a better opportunity.
I
And I
love
think I
that.
will stop there now. So thank you.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. I like what you mentioned said about getting like learning new languages. I know most people from Africa now, they will say they want to learn French or just Spanish or yeah, mostly French and Spanish. And you see the women saying they want to learn Korean. I even remember the one you taught me. Hi, ni hao. Did I get it?
Yeah, that's correct.
Oh yes, ni hao. Okay, that's really cool. Honestly speaking, the opportunities out there are unlimited. Let's go to the aspect of tuition, because I feel like that's also a big concern people have. If you don't mind, are you able to tell us like what the tuition was like the costs, and did you have to pay the tuition yourself, or were there scholarship to help you with the entire payment?
Yeah, let me start the show. Like, me leaving my country to China, it wouldn't have become a dream except I got a scholarship. Let me just put it that way. Because there wasn't enough cash for me to leave. And I think close to that time when I was about to leave the country, I think my parents were already retired back then. So there wasn't any support from anywhere for me to. So it should have, like, it was only possible through scholarship for me to leave that
Okay,
country eventually.
love it.
So just to answer your question, it was through scholarship.
Okay,
And to answer your question regarding the tuition, I don't need to know all those things because I'm on a full scholarship. I'm on a government scholarship.
that's true.
Yeah, so everything was paid, talk of tuition, accommodation, medicals, and even to some extent your air flight was paid.
Imagine.
And also, what's it called? I think there's one other part too. You also have the opportunity to explore, to travel. They take you around
Love
to
it.
just like an excursion to see, to get yourself integrated with the environment, with the Chinese culture, their cuisine, and the native Chinese to see histories. But unfortunately for our set, we were not able to explore a lot because of the COVID due to
Ah,
the restrictions. But I remember before the COVID struck, we were taken to so many places and even to job fairs. So those are the things I go. So
nice.
you going to China to gives you the opportunity to get a fully funded scholarship. I can even tell you that even the scholarship I'm on now,
Mm,
it's not a comprehensive scholarship to be honest, compared to what you get from China. China
from
pays
China.
everything on. Yeah. China gives you everything you need. So
Even those of us that are in Canada, I don't some there are still students that don't have health insurance. And you
definitely.
just mentioned medicals and everything
No, I think every student, all the student doesn't have any. You need to pay the insurance yourself. That
yourself.
is the way it works in Canada. But otherwise for Canada, everything is paid for. So that's it.
I love it. I feel like with everything you've said so far, we've been able to establish that China is a good country for anybody to go for study. And apart from the COVID experience, which eventually turned out well, it's a place with unlimited resources and a lot of exploration if you are looking into international programs. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm happy we've been able to justify that. Now, I'm going to now because this channel now we pretty much talk a lot about scholarships, and I think I will tell people to drop questions in the chat if they have any. Uh, Drop your questions in the chat, people. This is the time when we will be answering or asking our co-host questions, and also look at the chat to pick questions. If you are looking into undergraduate programs or master's programs or doctoral, what do they call it, postdoc, PhD, this is the right time for you to drop those questions. Even if you are studying in Nigeria and you think you need scholarship, or you are studying in Ghana and think you need scholarship to cater for some things, this is the time for you to ask those questions in the chat, right? Now, I'm going to do a little bit of PR because in my course of checking Mr. Mofe's profile, he has a consultancy business. The business is called Cranberry. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right.
Yes. So it's a consultancy business, sorry, where they provide services for undergraduate students, master students, doctoral students. And I feel like it has a vast knowledge when it comes to seeing people that have stood out in during the scholarship application, since he must have reviewed applications for many people. So I want to ask him, what are the key elements for somebody who is trying to get scholarships to further their education? What are the key elements somebody like that should have, maybe in their application or as abilities to be successful among every other person out there that is trying to get the same opportunity?
Yes, thank you again. I think there are a lot of things, or let me say, there are a lot of answers to those questions, but I may not be able to touch every aspect. That's
Everything.
if I remember anyway. But to start with, one of the key elements, for you to secure a scholarship abroad is first your profile as a person. Your profile is really important, because, like I said, I think I mentioned it earlier. You really need to sell yourself to these people.
Yeah.
These are Westerners, they are wise, these guys are psychologists. They know what you're thinking. In fact, they even know what you're going to think about later on. So you need to be smarter than they are. You understand? I think for me now, back then it was a bit difficult, but I can tell you that today, if I really set my eyes on a scholarship, I
Mm,
can tell you that I will surely get a scholarship because I know what they want actually.
yes.
And I've actually learned from it. There was I undergo a lot of rejections, a lot of failures, and through this time I learned a lot from this rejection. It wasn't just a rejection. Failure is part of the, it's part
Yeah.
of was part of the testimony, was part of the terrain. So I learned a lot of things from this thing. So to start with, there's something we call the SOP, statement of purpose.
Yes.
And that comes after, that I think that comes when you're applying for the admission, what have you. And that should come after you have secured a supervisor. Like I told you, if you are doing a research, I don't know how you want to do it. You can't skip that area of securing a scholarship. You need to put in,
Mm-mm.
that part of securing a supervisor
Yeah.
is really important. You need to secure a supervisor that is willing and has accepted and has agreed to fund you. What have it? There's a way this could do it or does it. I don't know. Just have to secure that scholarship, that supervisor. And after saying yes, the supervisor himself will tell you to go ahead and apply for a scholarship because during the course of your application, they're going to ask you, have you identified any supervisor? Then you can now include his or name in your application.
Yeah.
So you also need to attach a statement of purpose, like I said earlier. The statement of purpose is like use like a mouthpiece. It's like your own mouthpiece to the reviewer. Actually, you are
Yeah.
telling the reviewer about yourself that this is who I am, and this is what I really want from you people.
Yes.
And in doing this, you need to stand out. You need to be articulative. There's a way you articulate your point to these people. It should make sense to you. Like I always say to you, if it doesn't make sense to you, it can never make sense to them. So
Mm-mm.
it first makes sense to you before it can actually make sense to them. And I'm going to share a bit of what's it called? Your statement of purpose should include actually. Someone once asked me that is it possible I document everything about myself in one page? I think it's the best. It's the best.
Mm.
It's really recommended. You don't have to bore them with your stories.
Yeah.
Nobody's interested in that.
Mm-mm.
And that's also bring the aspect of you being able to write a very or a constructive letter
Yeah.
just to convince people.
Yeah.
You can actually write a page contain everything about you. So the first line actually, there are several paragraphs In a statement of purpose should be up to 4 or 5 paragraphs, five at most, and everything should be embedded in just a page.
Yeah.
Because as a reviewer, because sometimes I review for some journals, I should be able to catch it. There's something we call an abstract in a manuscript. An
Yes.
abstract is just giving you a summary of everything that the person has done. From the abstract, you should be able to catch a glimpse of what the person has done without even going through the whole journal. So that's just the way an SOP should look like. So the first line should just be you trying to introduce yourself, like telling them this is me. My, for instance, my name is MoFe,
Mm-hmm.
and then I am a bachelor's degree holder in a particular discipline. Take for instance, in chemical engineering,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can actually just include maybe your class of degree. Maybe you graduate with a first class,
Yeah.
and good for you if you graduate with a very good grade,
Yeah.
because that already makes you stand out already,
Yeah.
makes you competitive for the scholarship. And then you can actually talk a brief about some few courses you did, few 1 or 2 courses you did back then in the graduate. Try to relate it to what your what's it called, your research was back then. I hope you guys get what I'm saying.
Yes.
Take for instance, you did something related to you did a course in biology. Maybe from the biology you did something related to anatomy. And then during the course of your final year research, you did something related to anatomy. So you've been able to correlate your course curriculum with your final year thesis.
Yeah.
So that way you've been able to tell them that this area you're interested in this area, and this is what you eventually did. So the second paragraph should actually talk about why you're going for a master's degree. Why do you need a master's degree? Is it that you want to know more about these things, or you want to go into teaching and you need to get more understanding in this area? And also, you need to also include the research area you're going for. And that's also calls your attention to go to the fact that you need to check the profile of the supervisor you're going to work with.
Yeah.
You need to look into the profile, look into what the person is doing, and then make sure it aligns with what you actually did previously in your undergraduate.
Yeah.
So you can actually include that in your SOP that you've actually been able to meet with Professor so, and you guys have discussed, you have even discussed about the project you'll be doing in this laboratory. So that's where you've been able to correlate your first degree to what you're going for. Hope you get it now. So
Yes.
then the third paragraph now should talk about your achievement, you know, the achievement back then, because this is where the aspect of you trying to tell them that although I'm coming for a program, I don't have the resources. I need the resources to fund this program. So they need to sell yourself because they can't just give you the money like that.
Mm-mm.
It's not your right, actually. It's just a privilege. So you need to really sell yourself to them that uh, I'm applying for this scholarship and tell them why you are a best fit for this scholarship because to
Yeah.
some extent, this scholarship is not much. So for them to be for them to be justified, they need to actually do justice by filtering the whole. You have several people that apply for scholarship, and apparently not everybody can get the scholarship. Only few people will get the scholarship. That means you need to really stand out from these people, make yourself competitive. So that way you can actually tell them about your achievements, maybe back then in the undergraduate. Maybe if you, like I said earlier, if you finish with the first class or a very strong second class, you can actually include it there that you got a recognition for the best overall best student. So that's an
Yes.
achievement. And then maybe take for instance now you also had a recognition maybe for a particular invention. Maybe during your project you did a very innovative project and it was recognized by the community or maybe by the government of the country you're working for. So that's an achievement.
Yeah.
So that way you've been able to correlate your academics with the environment, with or let me say with the community. So they're able to see that yes, this guy, for the fact that he's studying, he's also involved in the community. So you've been able to connect so many things together. And that I think that's all you need to just talk about in your SOP. And finally you can just tell them if I'm giving this award, these are the things I want to do with it. And then you talk about your long term goals.
Yeah.
Take for instance, maybe after achieving this first degree or a master's degree, I want to proceed into a PhD program, or maybe I want to go to an industry where I can integrate this understanding with what is going on in the industry. And that's just it. That's
Yeah.
just all you need to explain. You can see that everything I mentioned now shouldn't be more than a page. In fact, it should even exhaust a page.
Yeah.
I can okay, let me share one story of mine too. There was a time I was looking for a supervisor in the United Kingdom. I
Mhm.
got two supervisors. So they wanted me to work on a project for Tata. Tata is a common company, TATA. They're
Okay.
into building of all these double decker commercial vehicles. So
Yeah.
I was going to work for them in the laboratory. So we need to get a scholarship because as at that time the professor they don't really have much funding. I know in the United Kingdom we need money to survive back then. So she asked me to write a statement of purpose and send it to her so that she can review it. I wrote 2 page, or let me say 1 page and a half. It's not even up to a 2 page. And I thought I've written a very good SOP. After sending it to her and she sent back her feedback, I was so shocked because the 1.5 page, she just shortened it to half page. It's not even up to a page.
Imagine.
That was where I knew that, you don't really need to talk much about yourself.
Mm-mm.
There's a way you can pick those things, one or two things out of your life, and then you just make it
Yeah.
history in that just small page
Yeah.
of the Microsoft Word. So that's just the way it works.
I love
Just
that.
try to make your what's it called your stories, let it align
Yeah.
so that when the reviewer sees, should be able to catch a glimpse of you by just looking at the first to second paragraph.
Yes.
And this is the reason why you are not the only one applied. They have a lot of application to review.
Yeah.
You stand the best chance to be reviewed best if you have a very short SOP.
Yeah.
So that way they can take their time to look. In fact, you can make it catch in the sense that they won't be able to take off their gaze from your SOP.
Mm-mm.
They can even use your own SOP as a yardstick to go
Yeah.
with it to score orders. So
Yeah.
that's the way you can make your SOP looks like.
I
And
love.
that's the way it works. So I
Yeah.
think that's just it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I've been saying this for the longest time. Every word in your essay should mean something to you. You don't just put words in your essay because you want the thing to be full or you want it to look as if you've put a lot of effort. You want everything to mean something. And you are not expected to go online and just see copies of other people's essays and try to match their story to yours. It should be unique to you. And I don't think I've ever been here and like listed everything one by one, paragraph by paragraph. So we should really appreciate what Mr. MoFe is doing for us on this call, like telling us these are the things you need to put here. I've never done it before, right? We should really appreciate that. And if you have not been writing anything down so far, I believe you've missed out. Okay, you are not missing out because the recording will still be there on YouTube. Wow, thank you so much for that. Even me personally, I am getting blessed. This will now take me to the aspect of like diving deeper into your PhD. I'm gonna say this again. I can see one question already. If you have questions, please keep dropping them. All right. If I don't see any more questions, I will just believe we don't have questions from the audience, and I will answer the ones we have, and we will wrap up. However, I need to ask Mr. Mofe this question concerning his PhD program. Like I said the other time, he's into chemical engineering, and that's what his research is all about. However, I want him to talk about it, but I want us to also understand that this channel is just where we are. It's not a place where I'm trying to build everybody to come into tech, right? It's a place where you are supposed to identify your purposes, identify what you are meant to do, identify what best suits your lifestyle, right? And I believe from one or two stories from other people, we can actually connect to our own self. So I would want him to go into the aspect of PhD that he focuses on, especially what he's currently doing in his research and what is post PhD dream look like? Because I've seen people saying, "Oh, I want to go into academia. I want to become a professor," right? And so people will say, "No, no, no, I'm not doing professor thing. I'm going to into the industry rather, right?" So I wanted to kind of like briefly go over that. We've reached 1 hour, so we are going to the end of the session right now. Thank you so much, Mr. Mofe. The floor is yours now.
Yeah. Like she rightly said, I'm actually studying the course in chemical engineering, but my research area is totally different
Oh, okay.
from me. So
Sounds good.
my research area is just more into materials and mechanical areas. Or let me say, currently I work on an industrial research with the aerospace industry. There's an aerospace here in Canada we call Bombardier. So it's a very pronounced, let me, it is known industry in the aerospace industry. So we work on their project. I actually work on the gas turbine of an Aerojet. So it is a very, very sophisticated area in the let me say in an airline or in an aeroplane. If you look at, let me say, what's it called? An aeroplane, there's one particular round thing you see under the wings. That is what we call the gas turbine. It's like a fan actually. So this is what really this is what is responsible for the functioning of an airline. That is what makes it possible for the airline, to fly on the air, to land, and also to take off. So it's really a complicated aspect of the aerospace, engine. So if it fails, that means the whole airline has failed. So that's just the way it is. So basically, I'm actually developing, we call it wear resistant coating, just to prevent some kind of wear damage inside the gas turbine engine. So it might look complicated to you guys, but it's really an interesting area. So currently we're actually building, these coatings, and it's quite an innovative research that even the aerospace industry are waiting for the outcome of the research. So, and I can tell you that the research is really going well. So we are actually making a good, we are actually getting a good result. So, and it should actually it should actually contribute to research knowledge in this area as well. So, I think that's all. If you're interested to know more, I'm ready to, to put you through the whole process. And
Exactly.
yeah, that's it.
This is me going to say that we are all not just supposed to be doctors or lawyers or what's it called? What are these jobs that people are doing these days, right? That's not what everybody is meant to be doing. We are supposed to be diverse. And I feel like this is number one role model for anyone who is on this call and the person is trying to find something different to do, right? And I'm going to use this medium to even drop our co-host LinkedIn in the chat. If you want to connect with him very well, please send him a LinkedIn request. He's into a lot of these things, also guiding people, helping like in career trajectory, especially when you are trying to study for undergraduate, masters, and all those things. So do well to connect with him on LinkedIn, and I believe is going to be that person you are looking for. Okay. Thank you so much for that. I want us to quickly answer this guy's question. Patrick Philip, he said, are there any important tips to look out for when writing CVs and statement of purpose? I want to believe that we made justice to statement of purpose. I am even more than justice. Yeah, we did that so well. Maybe CV, do you just want to like briefly mention the resume aspect?
Yeah, the CV actually, the resume aspect. I think, okay, firstly, you need to know that there's a difference between a work CV and an academic CV.
Yes.
There's a difference between it. So there's a way you structure it. For a CV, for a working CV, it's like you are looking for a job, but this is academics. So in academic CV, it should be a bit different because it should actually um, incorporate maybe every aspect of academic life. Just few aspects you cover, maybe the work experience you had in the past. So you can actually just highlight in the or let me say the summary, just highlight few things you, or let me say your background. I'm so okay. I have a background in something, and then you also talk about the research you did in the past, and then the what's it called the applications, or let me say the softwares you are familiar with, you know how to use best. Those are the things that should be part of the summary. And then if you have a publication, which is really important, which is also very useful for you to become a competitive person. For you to write a paper means you have what's it called you really have a lot of experience because it's not easy to write a paper. So even if it is a co-author, it's part of it. I can remember back then before leaving, I was a co-author in several papers. I think that was part of the things that really make my application stand out. And just for you to know, back then, I think we're close to 200 that applied, that submitted an application for my current supervisor for this particular research. So only two of us were chosen, just to
Wow,
make you know that it's really competitive. So there
competitive.
are some things they look up to, in your CV. There are some things they look in or they look out for. While you said these are the points that you need to, your achievement is really like should be at the top of the CV.
Yes.
Let your achievement be there. If you have a public, put it there. Talk about your research area, let it align with what you're going for, which is very important. Let it really align with what you're going for. And then you can also just make mention of maybe few work experience, related work experience now, not different from what you are going for because it doesn't align. If it's
Yeah.
not related, just remove it. It doesn't have to be. And then your CV too shouldn't be more than a page. There's a
Yeah.
way you can do it that it shouldn't be more than, just make everything a page so that everything will be concise and
Yeah.
even just a particular screen. Take for instance, I'm on this screen, I can see everything about you. Oh,
Yeah.
this person, this is you, this is what you did, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's all.
I love that. I love that. I'm going to add that you should also use metrics in quantifying
Yeah.
your impact.
Quantifying, yeah, your impact,
Yes.
yeah. You should
Yeah.
also use your metrics. Yeah,
Exactly. I don't want to be spending hours trying to figure out what you did in a particular project. No,
yeah.
I must be able to see the result of all the work and everything. Thank you so much. I love that. And then Patrick Philip is adding to the question. He said, "What if my undergraduate project is somehow different from the research problem? Like the undergraduate project is on computer vision and master's or PhD research is on NLP. For context, I can talk about computer vision. It's like an aspect of advanced machine learning or like a part of deep learning where you use like image processing in making predictions and stuff. And NLP is natural language processing. If I'm going to answer that question briefly, I'm going to say that based on what I've learned from Mr. Mofe's answer so far, I would say the fact that computer vision and NLP, they are still under a particular niche. They are just like different subset of artificial intelligence. So if you did computer vision as undergraduate project and or NLP for masters or PhD, we are still talking about the same thing. Everything is still AI, right? It's still the same thing that we are talking about. So you can actually, and there are ways of connecting your project because it's more like we have one, it's like an hierarchy. Artificial intelligence is on top, and then there are different branches. Computer vision is here, machine learning is here, natural language processing is here, and object detection and other things they are around, right? You are still learning the same thing. So there should be a way for you to connect this particular project to this particular project because we are still talking about the same thing. Okay? Yeah. Or Mr. Mufe, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, if I'm to answer the question, it is possible. It is not totally impossible actually. It still boils down to how you're able to tailor your what's it called, your statement of purpose. Take for instance, I always advise some of my colleague or some guys who approach me for help in this area that take for instance you have a different background or you have a different research experience and you want to go for something else. You need to have something to support it. Some experience to support the fact that what you're going for,
Yeah.
you're not going to suffer
Yeah.
while doing it. Because for them to trust you with something, they must have seen that you have or let me say, some number of years of experience working on this thing before a white man can trust you with
Yeah.
some kind of thing. So take for instance, if you have a different, but take for if you have a different research experience and you want to go, or sorry, if you had a different background or a different research experience in your undergraduate and you want to go for something different, your master's or PhD, you can maybe try to tie your work experience, tie it down to it. If you have a work experience related to what you're going for, you can tie it down to it. It's also part of it. Let them know that, oh, this project I want to do in my master's or PhD, I have been doing it over time in my current workplace. Just name some instances, some projects you did that you did from scratch to finish,
Yeah.
the challenges, and now you're able to tackle these challenges to bring what's it called a solution oriented result. So
Yeah.
those are the kind of things you try to incorporate into the letter.
Love it.
So that's how you're able to convince them that you cannot, because they can't just assume that, oh, you are coming for this thing, let's just give it to him. No, you will suffer. That's just the way it is. It's always like that, that you always feel maybe you can do this thing. But I won't lie to you, it's not easy. It's not easy. When you get there, you know that this thing is not, it's not something easy at all. So those are you need to sit down, understand what you're going for,
Yeah.
know the nitty gritty of what this thing entails,
Yes.
and also understand if you have some people who have gone to this terrain, chat them up, let them know you are going for this thing so that they can actually advise you on the kind of challenges they also went through. Just like while I was in FUTA back then, you know, we have some seniors that are already ahead of us. So before the exam, we go to them, we collect their past questions. We also ask them some questions about what the lecturer looks like, what the question looks like. Unfortunately, for some lecturers, they don't change their questions. It's just the same format. They might just change one or two wordings just to make it look novel, but it's still the
Yeah.
same question. So that's just the way, those are the kind of things you should look out to before you actually submit an application. It's not impossible, I can tell you, it's possible. So
Yeah.
it's like it's only, in fact, they always see it as you trying to think outside the box. Oh,
Yes.
so you have this experience, you want to go for something else, but you need to show them or convince them that you can actually do this thing, even without maybe cognitive or maybe long term experience in this area. So I think that's it.
Thank you so much. I love that. Oh, Patrick Philip, I want to believe that has sufficiently answered your question. Okay. I will I will answer show this question on the screen now. We will get this answered. Then I will ask Mr. Mofe one last question. Then this live stream is going to end. Thank you so much for everybody that has been with us so far. I really appreciate this. This is something I really enjoy doing, and I'm really happy that you guys are always tuning in every time. We probably it's maybe the case that your own is not into, like, you are not into the master's PhD aspect of things, but trust me, we keep rolling new facet of these things out every month. And like I said, this is going to be happening every month. The next time would probably be about undergraduate, or for people that are already in the workspace industry, trying to like get senior or leadership roles and experience, right? So we have different facets of these things that will be rolling out. And even if I believe Mr. Buffet has done justice to this. So let's go straight into Ayodeji Ali's question. He said, I will be coming to Canada very soon as an international student, and I will love to know how it's how to combine academic and tech. Mr. Mufe, do you want to help us out? Because academic and tech and academic and research, I feel like everything is still the same thing.
Yeah, to start with, what are you coming to study? Are you coming for academics or work? Let me get you correct.
Okay. Ayodeji Ali, that's a question for you. If you want, you can provide more answer to that question in the chat, and then we will go back to your question. All right. While we await that, I'm going to ask Mr. Mufe this question about an advice he is actually going to give to young students in Africa, or even people from different parts of the world, like different places in our world right now, like students that really aspire to follow similar paths as what he has already done, like similar paths to his own trajectory in academia and research. Like, what advice will you give to people? Yeah.
Yeah, my advice to young aspirants is it's nothing than for them to just stand up to the challenges of
Yeah.
getting themselves this opportunity, because without an opportunity in the first place, there's no how you're going to forge ahead
Mhm.
or reaching this dream. So your first assignment right now, or take for instance, for those who are still in school, I always advise you to take your academics serious. To some people, they just feel it's just going to school, and then some people even tell you school is a scam. It's not a scam, to be honest. It's not a scam. To be honest, I can tell you that academics is what actually changed my life to this level. Although if I'm still in Nigeria, I know I'm still going to get something, but the level of exposure I have now, if I were to be in Nigeria, it might be limited, to be honest. So if you are still in school, try as much as possible to make sure that you graduate with a very good, even if it is not the best, but make sure you position yourself well academically. That is very, very important, because whether you like it or not, one day you will surely reap the fruit of that labor. You might be
Yes.
thinking, oh, I got a first class. No, no, no. It's not a waste. I won't lie to you. Okay, let me share a bit of my story with you. Back then when I started my program in Futa, in 100 level, I started with a very, very humble CGPA. In fact, with the third class, I started with 2.35, which is the worst ever grade I ever had in Futa. I couldn't tell anybody back home, but I was able to confide in my uncle. So I told my uncle. But I was glad I did, actually, because if I
Mm.
were to conceal it back then, I don't think I'll be here right now.
You see?
So I had to open up to my uncle, and then I could remember to date what he told me. He told me, even if it is remain the last drop of blood in you, make sure
Mm.
you position yourself in the best grade to get to graduate a very good grade.
Yeah.
I held on to that word, and I can tell you that by the time I finished, I graduated with a very good grade, with a very strong 2-1.
Nice.
I finished with a CGPA of 3.67 in FUTA.
Nice.
So it's not impossible. Even if you are very close to the end, it's still possible. Just put in the effort. I can remember how difficult it was for me to climb. Although if you are getting close to the tail end, it's maybe a bit stressful. The addition may not be that much compared to when you're just starting. So that's why it's always advisable that you should take your academics serious, because one
Yes.
day something will surely come for it.
Yeah.
Something will surely request for it. So that's where you have actually positioned yourself for the future.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, for those who don't have a good grade, they will struggle.
Yes.
They will really struggle. I won't lie to you. They can't even get the opportunity that someone who has a first class or second class upper can get. That is how it is. So if you are the type that can actually position you, if you have a very good grade, I can congratulate you in advance that
Mm-hmm.
definitely you are actually on your way to getting a future
Yeah.
outside the country, because these are what people look out to. These are what they look out to before they can. Because for you to be able to show them that you graduated with a very good grade, it means you are really like you are intentional, you are motivated, you are strong,
Yes.
you are up
Yes.
to the task. So, and I can tell you that, if you can actually get such kind of grade in Nigeria, graduate a very good. If you come to an environment like this, I can tell you, you are going to break record,
Yeah.
because that motivation actually is all you need to survive in this environment. And I can tell you that even without even doing much, without putting much effort to what you did back home, you are still going to stand out in this
Yes.
environment. So that's the first thing. And secondly, I mentioned it earlier, surround yourself with good people. You know,
Yeah.
it's really important. So because I won't lie to you, if I were to surround myself with the wrong people back then, I don't think I will have the knowledge of what I have right now.
Mm.
The kind of people you surround yourself with determines the level of exposure you have.
Yes.
I will
Yes.
quote it again. The kind of people you surround yourself with determines your level of exposure.
Yes.
If you surround yourself with the bad people, with the wrong colleagues, they are going to mislead you. That
Yeah.
is that is obvious, because you'll be thinking like that. I can tell you that back then, while I was in Nigeria, I have some friends. We work together, we eat together, we roll together. But today, because I've actually left the country for a very long time now, so in fact, we don't really chat as much as we do before. And that wasn't because maybe I'm trying to form.
Mm-hmm.
That's because I've attained some level of understanding now that if I
Yes.
try to even relate with them, they can't relate.
They can't understand.
They can't understand it. That's just how far you can go in life. And this will actually can actually even be the one encouraging them,
Yeah.
push them forward. So if you put yourself, or if you try to surround yourself with the good people, you are like it's easy for you to move faster compared to when you surround yourself with the wrong people that can easily mislead you to do the wrong thing. And then thirdly, you yourself need to be up to the task. You need to be updated. Stay updated online. You need information.
Yeah.
And thank God we are currently in the era of technology, whereby anyone has a phone. You can access information even inside your room. You can just instead of spending time on social media, you can actually look into opportunities, see how you can develop yourself,
Yeah.
develop your skills. So get updated on informations, and that way is also going to add to what is going to improve or
Yeah.
take you to the next level in your career. I think for now that's all I can actually advise. Thank you.
That's powerful. I love it. I like the way you said it. School is not a scam, please, especially my people that are in tech. Because I believe most people just want to use tech as a way to escape from the reality of being a student, right? And there's this thing tech can do to you when you start making money off it. You believe the like the world is your oyster or whatever, and you are already making money, and you don't need to pay as much attention to your degree or to your courses in school. Please, I beg you, the same way Mr. MoFe did. Make sure, in as much as you are a student, school should be your primary focus. It should be your priority. While tech can be secondary, or whatever you are doing by the side can be secondary. And you also mentioned people changing your life. People have changed my life. Where I am right now, it's as a because as a result of one person giving me this particular information, this other person referring me for this thing, right? People will change your life so much. And I just can't go over what he has already said. God bless you so much, sir. Oh, let me go to Ayodeji Ali's question. After this question that says, I'm coming to Canada, I'm an international student, how can I combine academics with tech? He now further said, I will be coming to study as an undergraduate and I have a background knowledge in tech and tech space. I want to know how it is combining both together. Okay, he's an undergraduate. He answered the question.
Okay, yeah, I think that's good. If you're coming here for academics and you're looking for a way of integrating tech into it, It's possible. And the easiest way, or what I'm actually looking at, is how you can actually make that possible. Is maybe in the projects that you will be, or you will do, or you will eventually do later on. You can try to go into something related to simulation. You know, simulation is more like technological stuff, whereby you build some programs, you build so many things using the technical, softwares and all those things. That's where you can actually integrate both of them together. In research, we have something we call experimental, and we also have what we call simulation. For the experimental, you have to be in the laboratory, but for the what's it called for the simulation, or we call it numerical analysis, it's more into technology, into technical stuff. That's where you've been able to bridge that gap
Yeah.
between academics and technology. I think that's the fastest route you can do, because if you're coming for a research program different from technology, it might be a bit difficult for you, combining, because both of them, they need their own attention. They're attention seekers. Let me put it that way. So if you're doing research, research will take your time. In fact, you don't have time to think about any other thing.
Yeah.
That's all you think about. You wake up with it, you eat with it. That's just the way it is. And then you now want to combine tech. Oh wow! In fact, you must be really strong. But I can tell you, it's not that it's impossible, but it's really difficult. Really, really difficult, because you need time for all these things, and it won't be okay for you to go crazy because you are studying, because this thing can actually turn your brain upside down if you're not careful. To be honest with you, so I think the easiest way you can actually combine those things together is just what I said. Just try to focus mainly on simulation
Yeah.
aspect. That's where you can actually be doing something related to tech while doing academics. So
Yeah.
that's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Ayodeji, you've gotten the answer. Now, Oguntuji Alimat, we are wrapping up. We are wrapping up. How can someone that studied biochemistry in our undergraduate transition into tech-related field for our masters? She's a software engineer in she's a software engineering intern in a startup company, or could she get a second degree? Okay, that question makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I understand the person has a
Hmm.
background in biochemistry, right?
Yes.
But currently working in a tech company, right?
Yeah. As an
Yeah,
intern.
as an intern, I think she's good to go actually.
Okay.
Your background shouldn't restrict you, but the fact that you need to connect your undergraduate with what you're doing, or what you're going for,
Yeah.
might be a bit challenging, but it's not totally impossible.
Mm-mm.
What I think you can actually do, like I think I've mentioned it before, you can tie your work experience to it,
Yeah.
because this is what you are doing, you've been doing, and this is what you're currently doing. That means you have a current or a relevant knowledge of what you're going for. So if you can submit an expression of interest for maybe something related to what software engineering you're going for, and then see a way you can actually convince them that you are actually working on tech related stuff right now, even though you have a background in biochemistry, but you are totally motivated to get a degree in software engineering. And these are the experience you are bringing to the table. This is how
Yeah.
you want. This is what makes it, or what makes you qualify for this degree. And I think you can get it. You can. So it's just you trying to communicate yourself well when applying for the scholarship. Maybe through your letter to the review committee, like telling them this is what you have, this is what you've been doing, and it's really connected to what you're doing right now. So
Yes.
that's it.
Yes. That answered everything. All right. Oguntuji Alimat. Yeah, you've gotten the answer. Thank you so much, sir. I have been super, super blessed on this call. And I believe everybody that tuned in has also been blessed tremendously. Thank you so much for the insight. Thank you for the word of wisdom, the knowledge, and thank you for sharing your life story with us. I know some people they are not that comfortable with doing this. Thank you for accepting the invitation in the first place. It means a lot to me personally, and I'm happy to be having somebody of your caliber on this platform. Thank you so much, sir. Uh, Everybody, this is going to mark the end of the session. I am Precious Kolawole, like I said when we started the call. I'm a dev degree intern at Shopify. I do software engineering with a lot of front end and back end. However, my major calling is actually around artificial intelligence and healthcare, where I do a lot of data science and machine learning stuff. And alongside all of this, I just try to get scholarships on the side. This session itself has blessed me so much. And Mr. Ogunmola that we've had on this session also, he is a PhD student at a university here in Canada, or in Quebec. Um, Quebec, Montreal. Yes, that's where he is schooling. He did his master's in China, like we've all heard the story. And it's just amazing that he also has a consultancy service called Cranberry, where he advises people and helps people in their journey towards getting into undergraduate, masters, and doctorate programs. Okay, and on this session this afternoon, we've talked about a lot of things. Studying in China, I feel like that was actually the most exciting part of this session for me. Studying in China, statement of purposes, CV, combining school with tech, and many other things, right? And this session itself is making me realize that, oh, Precious, you just don't have to be talking about tech all the time. This can be a channel where people can get to a point in their life and be like, oh, I don't know what's next to do. I feel like I need light. I need God to shine light on my path, and see this channel as a place they can come and look at other people's stories and be able to say, okay, this is where God is leading me. This is where what God is telling me to do, right? And I pray and I hope that we will eventually get to that level. Like I said, also, this is something I enjoy doing, and I'm really happy that we had everybody on this call this afternoon. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you again next month. All right. So the live stream is going to end now. Bye bye.
Yeah, bye bye. Yeah, thanks.
And 3.